Hey Lionheart folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new or use him pronouns, I can sort of see my reflection of trees in my glasses, but that's okay. So this week is actually Trans Awareness Week, and this Saturday, tomorrow, November 20th, is Trans Day of Remembrance. And for those of you who don't know what Trans Day of Remembrance is, it's a day to, I guess, honor and commemorate. I don't know if commemorate's the right word. I'd say honor all the trans lives that were lost to anti-trans violence in like this year. And Trans Day of Remembrance happens every year on November 20th to honor, the trans and gender diverse lives that were lost in that year due to anti-trans violence. And that it's Trans Awareness Week and Trans Day of Remembrance tomorrow, I just wanted to make a video sharing some of my thoughts that I've spoken about before, but just want to reiterate in this video. And for those of you who have never seen me before and this is your first video, I am a trans man, and that's why this sort of stuff is important to me and it touches me personally as well. So what do I want to say to the world as a trans man? Well, firstly, I'm just being me, and I'm gonna try and use I statements in this video, not generalize by saying we. I mean generalize to all trans and gender diverse people, so I'm going to speak from my experience, so I'm going to use a lot of I statements. I just want to live a life where I can be authentically me and just feel safe in the world. I mean, that's not all of it, but that's just one of the foundational basic human needs for me. It's just to be able to live my truth, express myself without judgment or being shunned. Or it's complicated, and living in a world and a system that is not very favorable, inclusive and friendly of trans people. And I've experienced my fair share of like challenges, but ultimately I'm not hurting anyone. Me living my truth as a trans man is not hurting anyone. I'm not out here murdering people, assaulting people, harassing people, being verbally abusive. I'm not setting arson. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just living my authentic life that doesn't involve it. It's not hurting anyone. I don't hate people who hold transphobic views. I don't hate people for feeling, I guess, unsure or distant or whatever it may be towards trans people and trans issues, because the world in general is not very friendly and inclusive of trans people, and the systems that have been put in place and the systems that currently, I don't know if run is the right word, the system that are currently underpinning how society operates is not very trans and gender diverse inclusive. That's being trans inclusive and friendly and affirming is not normal at the moment. It's not the status quo. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but none of us, including myself, comes out of the womb thinking trans people are not normal. It's not okay to be trans. Like, we don't come out of the womb and think that. We've been taught that. All of us have been taught this by, I don't know, environment we've grown up in, the people around us, subconscious subliminal messaging through media and everything we get exposed to. Like, a lot of things go into our brain subconsciously without us even realizing it, and over time the certain messages get reinforced, as in strengthened, because we keep getting exposed to it. In saying that, it doesn't mean that we have to hold these views forever, because for me, I realized, like, just because this stuff has been ingrained into my head from a very young age, it doesn't mean that I am doomed for life, and it doesn't mean that I can't break out of this pattern of thinking and reframe things and build new, more helpful and affirming thinking patterns. What I'm trying to say essentially is to challenge the status quo. I personally challenge the status quo every day based on how I live my life and what I do and what I dress. Like, I don't conform to gender norms and I don't act manly or whatever that even means because I'm a man. Like, regardless of my gender, I present how I want, I dress how I feel comfortable. Yes, I don't consider myself to be a very feminine person, but that's not because I'm ashamed of it or anything. It's just who I am as a person. I've always been very masculine, even before I came as trans. But even if I was feminine and presented feminine or dressed in a feminine way, I would still fully embrace that, even though I am a man. So the next question that links into challenging the status quo is how? How do I challenge the status quo? I mentioned earlier, based on how I live my life, but also just having conversations, changing language. For example, when I introduce myself, I'm getting into the habit of saying, "Hi, my name is Lev, I use he and pronouns," so that it's pronoun cueing, so it cues the other person to also share their pronouns. And if the other person doesn't share their pronouns, I usually ask, "What pronouns do you use?" I don't always do it because it takes emotional energy, like being the trans person, setting the example all the time is very exhausting. So I don't do it everywhere I go with every single person, but I try to do it as much as possible. That's one example. Changing narratives, changing how we have converse, normalizing pronouns, for example, and sort of in a way also indirectly educating and informing those who may not be familiar with pronouns and be unsure of it. I guess it's not, there has to be a delicate balance here. Like, I can't just go, I guess, force this on people, if that's the right terminology, but just gently educating through advocacy, but not like forcing people to do XYZ. If someone replies to me they don't know what pronouns to use or they're not comfortable with it, then that's okay. Like, for me as well, it took me a while to get my head around gender identity stuff and trans and gender diverse stuff. So it's also okay for other people because I also took time, and it's okay to take time to familiarize ourselves with trans and gender diverse issues, trans and gender diverse experiences. I guess creating affirming and safe spaces and conversations and narratives for trans and gender diverse people as well. It takes time, and that's okay. Other things I've done, especially in the workplace, is I guess our systems, for example, use it asks for gender, right? And then the options are like male, female, intersex. And I'm thinking male, female, intersex is sex, it's not gender. And secondly, I think none of these accurately describe my gender identity because it's not gender. But the thing is, if I pick male, that's incorrect because I'm a man. While I am a man, I'm not male because I am not assigned male at birth. I'm not biologically a cis man, so male is correct. Female, yes, that is technically correct because I am assigned female at birth, but I am not a woman. So if I pick female, people would assume woman. That's like, yeah, the thing is they ask for gender, but they have answers for sex. So if I pick man, yes, that's right. They think I'm a man, but I'm not male. If I pick woman, that's technically incorrect because I am a man and not. I am a man, and I am assigned female at birth, not assigned male at birth, and I'm not intersex, so that doesn't fit me either. So that's just one example of how the system is not very friendly towards transgender diverse folks, and I flagged that with management, and then I flagged it with the people, like the IT people too, who like actually like manage the systems. I don't know how the entire IT computer software engineering side of things works, but yeah, I flagged it with them. I haven't changed it yet, but we've taken small steps to change. Like example, we have a referral form that people complete when they enter our program. Now there's a pronouns box next to gender, like there's a gender and then there's like a pronouns box as well, and there's also a question asking if the person's LGBTIQ plus. There's like yes, no, unsure, or slash prefer not to say. It's not exactly the best way to ask it, but I guess not asking it. It's not the best response option, like having multiple choice boxes, but it is what it is, and it was better than last time, which it didn't have anything at all. Other ways of challenging the status quo, for example, if I hung out with my trans friend and someone accidentally dead named or misgendered him, I would correct them and be like him or use chosen name. This is also a delicate balance because my friend might not want me to correct him because he might not want to be outed. So this is something I would have to have a conversation with him prior to hang out with him to see what he would like, how he would like me to support him when we hang out and someone accidentally misgenders him. That's just an example. So just even these small little things, like it starts breaking the idea that it's okay to misgender people, it's okay to assume pronouns. It breaks all of that, and by breaking all of that, we start building a community and a wider society that is inclusive and friendly towards trans and gender diverse folks. And a large part of that is not assuming things and respectfully asking questions. Another point I want to make is that it is 100% okay to make mistakes. I have made mistakes in the past. Everyone has made mistakes. Like before I started navigating my gender identity journey, I assumed people's pronouns because I wasn't really aware of like I've used pronouns like she, her, he, him, they, them, but I never really thought of like asking people for pronouns. And like for most of my life, I've assumed people's pronouns based on their physical appearance and gender expression. So that's like a mistake I used to make a lot, but now I don't do that anymore. But yeah, it's okay to make mistakes, and it doesn't make us bad people. And like accidentally dead naming someone or accidentally misgendering someone doesn't make us transphobic. For me, I only see something as being an act of transphobia when people intentionally do it, even though people are aware of it and they're aware that it's not okay. And for example, people have told them it's not okay and they keep doing it, then I see that as an act of transphobia. But if someone is just still familiarizing themselves with trans and gender diverse things and accidentally slip up, and it doesn't really, it's not even once. Like if people slip up multiple times, what I look at is intent. If people accidentally slip up multiple times, I don't see it as an act of transphobia. Even though it does hurt, I don't see it as transphobia because folks are learning. Folks are trying to create a new normal in what is not normal for them. And that's okay. Again, intentional act of transphobia is when I see things as problematic. The only way all of us can live in a world that is trans and gender diverse, inclusive and friendly and affirming is if trans and gender diverse folks and cisgender allies work together instead of fighting each other all the time. We need like working together as a team and communicating effectively and, you know, understanding that there may be miscommunications, misunderstandings because of different experiences, and working together to navigate all of that. That's how we can build a better world for trans and gender-diverse folks. Because if we keep going at each other and not actually listening to each other, and I'm talking about both ends here, like if I just attack a cisgender person for misgendering me, and this person didn't do it intentionally and wasn't really aware of things, that's not going to get me anywhere with this person. It's about understanding where each side is coming from, holding space for both of that, and then working together to navigate through the mess that is different understandings. And I also want to say to the cisgender allies out there, and trans allies, and trans and gender folks, trans and gender-diverse folks as well, but particularly cisgender allies, one of the biggest things you can do, I guess from my perspective as a trans man, is to amplify our voices. Like when we share stories, when we raise concerns and issues about the system and whatever it may be, not like speaking over us, but amplifying our voice, like taking our voice and amplifying it like a megaphone. Be our megaphone. Don't speak for us, but amplify our voice. Make it louder. Make it bigger. Finally, to close this video, to all the trans and gender diverse folks out there, I do want you to know that you're not alone. And I've said it many times, and I guess if some of you folks are like lacking connections with other trans folks and you do really feel isolated from everyone, just know that I am here with you in spirit and I'm fighting alongside you, and you deserve to live a life that is authentic to you, and where you are able to express yourself freely in the way that you feel most comfortable and in the way that is most you, without being judged or harassed or discriminated against, attacked. You don't deserve any of that. I don't deserve any of that. It pains me too that knowing that trans and gender diverse lives are lost every year just because we are being ourselves. It's not very fair, and it's disgusting, frankly, people being killed for just trying to live a life authentic to them and being themselves. But yeah, you are definitely not alone, even though it might feel that way. I'm here with you in spirit, fighting. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next video.